Welcome to another edition of Raya's Power International. Today I'd like to talk about how to avoid completely rupturing a tendon. Now, completely rupturing a tendon is probably the farthest thing from the mind of any weight trainee in any commercial gym. However, seasoned lifters are forever mindful of the possibility, especially if they've had a partial tear in the past. Now, immediate surgery is necessary if you have a completely ruptured tendon. Now, this may require 6 months to a year to heal. So, obviously, this scenario should be avoided at all costs. An understanding of the structure of a tendon or a ligament and how they respond to stretching and loading is basic to avoiding such an injury. Complete tendon ruptures usually occur within the bone it is attached to. This is called the insertion. The structure of a tendon or ligament changes along its length as it approaches the attachment to bone. Inactive connective tissue cells, we call fibrocytes, transform into bone cells that we call osteocytes, gradually dispersing into the bone matrix. This transition is more gradual in a tendon than it is in a ligament. Now, the transition consists of 4 zones located at the insertion. Zone 1 is pure, dense, fibrous connective tissue. Zone 2 is uncalcified fibrocartilage. Zone 3 is where the fibrocartilage gradually becomes calcified fibrocartilage. And Zone 4 is cortical bone. Now, Zones 2 and 3 are half as stiff as Zone 1. Once again, there are no sharp boundaries between the 4 zones. The progression is gradual. Now, the progression through the 4 zones minimizes stress at the insertion from either stretching or loading. Now, as a tendon is stretched, it actually narrows. The fibrocartilage acts as a stretching brake. Its cartilage matrix prevents any stretching at the tendon's interface with bone. Now, this is also true where the tendon transitions into muscle at its origin. Now, if this gradual progression did not exist, a sharp transition between the tendon and the bone would lead to stress, concentration, and increased risk of failure. When a complete rupture occurs, the fibrocartilaginous portion of the tendon does not reappear after the tendon has been reattached. Instead, this new portion of the tendon is simply fibrous. Plus, there's always the chance that the suture will pull through the tendon. So avoiding overloading or overstretching the tendon must be foremost in any lifter's mind. A reattached tendon will never be as strong as an uninjured tendon. What's more, a reattached tendon does not have the range of motion that the uninjured tendon has. The best way to avoid a tendon rupture is to gradually add weight to an exercise in successive sets. Now, tendons and ligaments deform slowly when loaded gradually, so gradually adding weight to an exercise reduces the possibility of injuring a tendon or a ligament. The information I presented in this video may seem a little too scientific to a lot of my viewers, but what I want you to do is be able to have the knowledge to visualize a tendon, how it attaches to the insertion at the bone and how it attaches to the origin at the muscle, and how it alters along its length when it's stretched or loaded, so that you can train properly to avoid injury. Now, I've seen what happens when somebody does not gradually increase the weight on successive sets. I knew a gentleman that came in the gym, loaded the bar to 315, and began to squat cold. The first rep was his last rep. He ruptured his quadriceps tendon. He passed out before the paramedics even got there, and then he had to go through the surgery and months of rehab. He's never been the same. So, injury to a tendon and a ligament is something you want to avoid. Good lifting.